Welcome back to the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast that you can enjoy whilst you're making a cuppa. I'm Emma Cossey, a coach for freelancers, and I'm here to chat to you about tips, tricks, and advice for freelancers. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Freelancers Tea Break. This week I've got Talia on. Talia, I will introduce her properly in a second with her full name, but she has been in my community for a while. I'm not going to say how long because it will age us both, but she is absolutely divine, and I'm really excited to have this chat with you and share this with everybody. But let's give you a proper introduction. So, Talia Loderick is a money coach based in Cardiff. Talia offers one-to-one coaching designed to help women understand and take control of the behaviour with money, that they can stop stressing about money and start ensuring that they have enough to live well now and in the future. So did you want to expand a little bit more on that and tell us a bit more about you?
Yes. Hi, Emma. Thank you so much for having me and for making me feel comfortable. I love being a member of your community and listening to this podcast. So it's really exciting to be on the show. So I'm Talia Loderick. I'm a money coach, as Emma says. I'm from Bristol, but I live in Cardiff, which has been my adopted hometown for the past 17 years. And so, like you say, Emma, I do one-to-one coaching with women to help them. The women I work with, it's all about they really want to understand and take control of their behavior with money, because ultimately they want to stop stressing about money, like having it as this thing at the back of their mind that is always nagging away at them as something they want to get in control of. And they also want to make sure that they've got enough to live a good life now and in the future, know that we've got enough put away for a good future as well. And then I also deliver financial wellbeing sessions, talks and workshops and money clinics for teams and organizations and community groups, because I think, financial wellbeing comes into our lives in all forms. So being able to talk about, how can we get a handle on our money so that we can increase our sense of financial wellbeing, that's what I do, and that's what I love to bring to people. So it's really important in that respect.
I love having you in the community because it's always whenever anyone has like a financial win, you're always there sort of cheerleading and encouraging, and also gently reminding everybody the importance of money and things like that. So it's so wonderful having you in there. So
Thank you.
tell me a bit more about how you became a money coach and freelance.
How I became a money coach. So gosh, I've been doing this for been running my money coaching business, which I call T.L.C, by the way, because that stands for Talia Loderick Coaching. But also, when I realized that the acronym for Tender Loving Care also stands for Talia Loderick Coaching, I was like, this is it, because that is how I want my clients to feel. That's how I want to feel with money. I feel like we all need a dose of TLC from time to time, especially when it comes to money. So I love that. So TLC, I named my business before starting my business, and that's absolutely fine. So I've been running Talia Loderick Coaching, my money coaching business, for the past 4.5 years now. So as of May 2019. I actually had the idea a few years before that, thinking, oh, this is something I want to do. But, it took me a while to kind of figure out how I was going to do it. And that's fine, actually. I think it's fine if these things take us time. I've become more comfortable with that over time. And so, I think the inspiration for my business came from realizing that there was a gap in the market, because honestly, I'd spent many years, I knew what I should be doing practically to manage my money better. I knew that I should budget and save and spend less than I earn. But I just really struggled to make it stick. And, that came on top of the fact that I'd always had an interest in money growing up, not in money so much, but actually it sounds so sad, but we all have our interest. My interest was actually really in consumer rights and knowing your rights. And I remember being, I don't know, 10, 11, watching Watchdog with Anne Robinson. I loved that sort of stuff. Really interested in it. When I was like late teens, early 20s, I'd be watching, all of the consumer shows. So yeah, the Watchdogs and Alvin Hall, the money guru when he was on TV, an early user of like the Martin Lewis Money Saving Expert website, all of that stuff. So I actually learned practically what I should be doing to manage my money, but I really struggled to make it stick. And I kind of was always going through what I call these boom and bust cycles personally. So, earning money, getting money in, spending money, overspending money, ending up in debt, paying it off, and then starting that cycle all over again. And I was just really frustrated in myself. And it wasn't until, probably around my early 30s. So I'm in my early 40s now, I should say. That probably gives people a timeline. But yeah, I became interested in psychology and behavior change and why we do what we do as human beings. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe it's not just that I'm practically bad at these things. Like maybe there's something deeper there. So, I started to kind of look at my relationship with money on a deeper level, like really exploring my emotions and beliefs around money, and kind of like what I could do to change my behavior from that side of things. And I actually found a coach to work with, a financial coach in the UK. She really pioneered financial coaching in the UK, and it was a great transformative experience. And I thought, I would love to do this because this is what I needed, and I think other people would love this service as well, like a coach who specializes in money. Because actually, until working with a coach myself, like I'd kept my money worries to myself because we don't talk about money. And especially the older I got as well, because as you get older, you're in a job, you're earning good money. So I would think, well, I'm educated, I've got a good job, people assume I've got it all together, especially with money, but I haven't. And that makes it really hard to ask for help. And I, kind of carried around that sense of embarrassment and shame, and coaching really gave me the opportunity to explore that. And it made me think, coaching, like specializing in money, like it's an actual thing. Like I want to do this for a living. How can I do this for a living? Oh, you need to start your own business. And I'd be like, oh, really? Oh, is that even possible? But, eventually I did. And yeah, T.L.C, I very, very quietly didn't launch it. I just hit publish on my website in May 2019. I was like, that's it. I'm a money coach now. And that's, that's what I do now. And now I have to find clients because I have a website, so my business is official. And how do I go around doing that and putting a business together? And I was so glad to be, and still am glad to be, a part of your community, Emma, because that has really helped me figure things out in terms of running my own business in the years since then.
I think money is such an emotive topic, and shame was one of the words that you used there, and I know that's one that comes up a lot. And I think there is kind of the perception that you either have like investment advisors or financial advisors for people who have a lot of money, or maybe at the other end, sort of debt advisors and people who are there, like citizens advice kind of side, who deal with
Citizens advice do
those in
great
dire
job.
need.
Yeah. So they do debt advice, and they do the consumer rights information as well. Great website, and you can see them face to face and over the phone as well. Yeah.
But the people in the middle who have an income,
Yeah.
but they don't feel like they're at the investment stage, and they're feeling secure enough, or their debts aren't life changing or life limiting at the moment.
Yeah, they're not working with
Those,
a negative budget, say, where you just don't
yes.
have enough coming in to cover everything that's going out, which is a very real situation for many people at the minute. Yeah.
And it can feel almost like, oh, who am I to ask for, get a money coach when I don't have loads of money to be spending. But I love what you say about living well. And I think we all need help in every other area of your life. You don't feel uncomfortable getting a coach for those areas to improve, whether it's a career coach or, a health coach or anything like that. So I don't but there is still a lot of work, I think, to be done around money and understanding it and embracing being able to get that support from a coach about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think part of the issue is finding, so for me, part of, a big part of my business, like a key thing that I do is actually just giving people a judgment-free safe space to talk about money. That is what we need. We need a space where there is no judgment, because it's hard to talk money with our loved ones. And, by loved ones, I mean friends, I mean family, because actually, with the best will in the world, we've all been guilty of this. I'm not perfect, but, instead of listening, you can ask for help, or you just want someone to listen to you. But instead of listening, you'll get advice. And instead of support, you can feel judged, because actually, if we do talk about money, we talk about the practical side of money. That's our actual resulting behavior with money. So, you say, well, I'm really struggling. People go, oh, you should just budget. Oh, you should just save, because I do it and it's really easy. And it's like, yeah, well, obviously, if only it was that easy, though. But because we're not talking about what's missing, for me, what I think is missing from the conversation, why we do what we do with money. So our emotional side of money, and, our beliefs around money, the things that actually drive our behavior with money. And so for me, creating my coaching business was really about giving people that judgment-free, safe space to talk about money, about their relationship with money and their fears and desires around money as well, and kind of to make sense of what's going on for them around money, and then ultimately to take action, to figure out, okay, this is how I behave with money now, this is how I'd like to start behaving with money. Okay, let me figure out how I'd like to change that, and then let me put it to the test, let me experiment and see what works for me. I think having that space, that supportive space to kind of figure things out and start to experiment and figure out how to be good with money in a way that works for you, that's what we're missing a lot of, and yeah, I love to be able to offer that space to people.
And it's so much more empowering. I know the easier thing is to stick your head in the sand, but it is not easier long term. And it's much more empowering to know what the situation is and then know what actions you need to take.
Yeah.
And I also, one of the reasons we're talking about it this week is because it's Talk Money Week, which I think is something that you're a huge kind of supporter of in terms of talking.
Yeah,
And
I love the idea of it. There's the week where we're encouraged to talk about money. So, Talk Money Week. So it's the 6th to the 10th of November. It's normally in November. So this year it's second week of November. And it really is all about encouraging people to be more open about money with the people around them. So whether that is talking about pocket money with your kids, or, sorting out your pensions. And, as a freelancer, I know that's something you talk about as well, Emma, like running your own business and sorting out your pensions. And so the weeks, it's all about talking about money, being more open about it, letting people know, like, okay, this is when and where you might need some specialist support with it as well. So I think it's really important. And I love that, there are many weeks and awareness days in the UK. And I think, because I think money is important because it underpins all of our lives. So, money impacts like our health and our relationships, and it impacts where we live and what we do for a living. It impacts our physical and mental health, and it totally impacts our relationships with our kids and our friends and life partners. So I think thinking about money and being able to talk about it in a safe way with the people around you is really important.
And I think money doesn't make you happy as such, but not having money does make you unhappy in terms of like, it makes you so much more stressed. And as a freelancer, we've all been through those times where, oh, we've had a couple of good months. Suddenly, oh no, we've got a bad month. And then it's panic and it's stress.
The feast and famine. The feast and famine. Yes, yeah. I'm sure many of us running our own businesses have been there. Yeah, that feast and famine is very real. Yeah, we all have our busy periods and then our quieter periods. So yeah, trying to live with that and trying to manage your finances around that when you've started your own business. And I think for me, one of the things I realized is like, well, wait, you've struggled to get a lid on your personal finances when you had a job and you were getting paid regular money. So it's no surprise that you might struggle to manage your business finances when you're dealing with the feast and famine of a regular income. So, you've got to think about your budgeting, haven't you? And your record keeping and pricing your products and services and working out how much to pay yourself, how much to put aside for tax, because we all know tax season is coming up, and then when to invest your business finances, to invest in the people and the tech to help you grow your business. So I think it's so important to recognize like how you manage your personal finances absolutely shows up in how you manage your business finances, and to kind of be compassionate to ourselves about that, because sometimes we're like, oh, I should just be able to figure this out ASAP, and it's like, it's fine if it takes you time to figure it out, because you're doing a lot, and that's okay. Here's your permission slip if you need it. So I think sorry, carry on. I was just going to say, like, managing your personal and your business finances is a confidence issue as much as it is a capability, your actual knowledge issue as well. So confidence and capability, it's both sides of the coin, I think, there.
So I think there's so many different areas of freelancing where that shame can pop up around money, whether it's talking about pricing, whether it's talking about like those feast and famine moments, or what happens if you have a tax bill that you can't pay and things like that. But even for me, like, I'm getting much better at the impulse purchasing in my personal life, but in my professional life, oh, throw me a subscription for a very cool, shiny piece of software that's going to make my life easier. Yes, please. And then you forget the subscriptions. And it's so bad that it just stacks up. And then suddenly you realize you'd signed up for them all after you'd got paid last time. And then they all hit you again.
And then they're all going to come out the next month. Absolutely. Do you know what my thing is? It's not like the subscriptions is a thing, but also I think for me, it's, I love learning. And so I'm like, oh, there's a course I could do. I could learn more about this. Oh, there's an event I can go to. And oh, how about I spend a training day and spend $2,000 perfecting this thing? And I'm just like, you can't spend all of your money on the learning, because actually doing the coaching as well, or whatever your own business is as important. And obviously, sometimes your brain can just be too blooming full. Like, we can all learn all this stuff, but sometimes I'm like, actually, I need to just kind of immerse myself in doing now, and not to spend money on another course, as great as I'm sure it would be. So yeah, that's where I can have the temptation to splurge.
We're all guilty of signing up for courses and then not implementing them before we've signed up for the next one. We've all done it.
That's it. So not implementing.
So I wanted to go back to Talk Money Week and about why it is so important to be talking about money. I loved as well that you touched on a few different things as well there, like talking with your kids. I actually think you might be able to say if there's a different one, but it seems to me like talking to your partner might be the hardest time to talk about money, but I could be wrong. Is it, do you find it's different things?
I think talking about money in general in our society is hard, because it comes with a lot of, I guess, because people don't listen and they give you advice because they want to help you. So I think it can come from mainly a very well-intentioned place, but ultimately it's like not actually listening to you, just telling you what you should do, which isn't what coaching is. Coaching isn't telling you what you should do, it's helping you figure out what you would like to do and then helping you do that thing. So coaching is very much about, it's not directive, it's helping you understand and listen to yourself. So I think there's that. So with partners, I think, and we've obviously, it's like, oh, this is the person I choose to spend my life with, and then you put your lives together and you're like, oh, well, do we have the same attitude towards money? Do we think that paying our rent every month or our mortgage payments is the priority thing that we must make sure we paid every month? Or actually, does my partner have an attitude of where you would pay everything at the last minute, maybe when you got the final notice letter? And that's an interesting, it's a hard conversation to have, but it's like, oh gosh, if that's their attitude to money. But I'm the sort of person, if I haven't got 3 months worth of rent, mortgage and bills payments put aside in my account at any one time, I feel like I'm really worried about that. Having that conversation is going to be really valuable before you start to build a life together, isn't it?
Mm.
So, start small. I think money dates with your partners to start having these conversations tentatively can help. And just, I think, a question I like is, what did you learn about money from your parents and guardians and carers growing up? Because whether we were overtly taught stuff by the adults in our life, we learn stuff, we observe stuff as young people, as kids, through modeled behavior as well. So that's like probably just a really interesting starting point. Like, yeah, what did you learn about money from your parents and carers and guardians growing up? And like maybe kind of writing that down, and your partner writing that down, and then having a read and just comparing and seeing what you think about money as a result of that.
Because it can be there's so many different beliefs, aren't there? I always remember Denise Duffield Thomas saying about she had an uncle that she didn't want to out earn because it would emasculate him. So that became a glass ceiling, a financial glass ceiling for her, because there was that belief that she couldn't out earn
Yeah.
the top earning male in her family. And when you dig down into beliefs like that, you go, well, actually, that's not even based on any fact or truth. It's just a family belief that had never even been uttered. Sometimes it's not something that's explicit, it's just a feeling
Yeah,
or an emotion.
sometimes it's not explicit, but also like that might be a family thing and not a truth. But actually we think about our society and we think cultural, like, I am black, my background is Jamaican, my heritage. So there's cultural money mindsets that come into play there, about, if you are a woman and do you want to be the breadwinner, or is your role there to serve the others around you? Like, these are really real things, and they come from somewhere. It's our culture, it's our society, it's our heritage, and understanding that, I think, is really helpful. Building that self-awareness, actually, it's like, what you believe, and yeah, trying to understand that so you can say, oh, okay, that is my belief. Is that belief serving me? How can I kind of set myself up for a win, or reframe that belief, or just try and understand it better? Is that story that I'm telling myself around money true? I think, yeah, that's really important.
So during Talk Money Week, their theme is do one thing.
Yeah.
And I know that is a struggle for both you and I because we have all of the ideas,
All of the things.
all of it. Um, so I know we briefly chatted about this before we jumped on, and I think there was one that you wanted to build on that I'd mentioned. So I'll just mention it now, and then you can
Yeah.
feel free. So I think mine is get more comfortable talking about money as a freelancer. So whether it's
Okay.
putting your pricing on your website, whether it is feeling comfortable about sending that invoice, or like we had someone in the group recently who asked, what if someone keeps coming up with extra tasks and do I charge for them? Just feeling comfortable having that conversation and saying, hi, yeah, I'd love to do that work. Just to let you know, that's outside our original quote. So I will add on, that would be an extra, blah, blah, blah. Here's the updated invoice. It doesn't have to be a deep personal conversation. Sometimes it is just literally saying, yeah, so fine, here's how much it is, and it's just an exchange. Sometimes it's not
Yeah.
always deep and meaningful. But I think there was something you wanted to talk about a bit more with what your one thing would be.
Well, off the back of what you've said about that, so yeah, do one thing is all about helping people think about, like, do one thing. What is the one thing that you could do, that you can commit to doing, no matter how small, that could help you to improve your financial well-being? And to have that conversation with other people actually around you would be really interesting. Like, it can be something tiny. And I think, because I think a lot of the time, and I know this myself from personal experience, I see it from working with clients. People think like with savings, for example, people say, oh, well, until I've got no money to save, there's no point saving £1 a week. So I'm going to say enough saving it until I've got more money and I could put away £100 a month. And it's like, hey, if you started with £1 a week and then you got to the end of the year and you had £52 saved, you would not regret having that £52 saved. You would love it. And do you know what? Because you've built a habit. Like, you have told yourself, I am a saver because I am saving. Do you know what I mean? You've created that habit. You've created that belief. That's great. Even if you're like, oh, I could have saved more. It's like, yeah, but you committed to something and you did it. So it can be as small as that. Like, you don't have to aim for the biggest thing, which I think, yeah, we just do a lot of the time, isn't it? It's like you can do the very, the smallest thing. In terms of, oh gosh, clients and running our businesses and setting our boundaries out around that, and it can feel, and I had this, I presented like a situation to the community earlier this year, and you were also helpful, Emma, around a client that was just like constantly, that I loved working with, but their finance department were paying me late more than half of the time, and I was like, this is just a lot of, and I'm a one-woman business. I was like, I don't have the headspace to have to, like, now I was like sending them invoices and then anticipating that they weren't going to pay on time, which, yeah, you just don't want to be in that situation. So it's like, okay, I need to, with this client, remind them of the payment terms and the boundaries, because actually trying to take the emotion out of it is like just trying to be factual, I guess. Like, okay, these are my payment terms. This is what I've put in place. If you can't meet them, that is unfortunate. I really, enjoy working with you, but I'm afraid that I won't be able to if this can't be addressed. And in that way, kind of, and if you've kind of made those plans, those payment terms, those terms and conditions, and you've been clear and upfront or reminded your clients about them, then if it all goes wrong and they've kind of stepped over your boundaries, like in a business perspective, you get to remind them of them. And because you've created that in advance, you've kind of hopefully taken the pressure of what could be a really emotional situation by going, oh, well, I'll just refer you to my terms and conditions I've created in anticipation. Should this situation happen? So you're not anticipating it happen, but should this situation happen, I shall refer you to my payment terms. And yeah, you can take it from there then. So I think that's how we can try and help us make a plan to help ourselves. And just if something goes wrong or not as we would like, we can then just roll out that action plan and get less worked up about it, so that we can concentrate on the many, many other areas of our business that we've got to deal with.
I just don't understand in this day and age, when people can pay their employees on time every month, why they then drag their heels 90 days, even 60 days. It's ridiculous.
90 days, like, honestly, it's like, do you not want small micro businesses to win? Like, what are you trying to do to us? That is ridiculous. But yeah, it happens. And I mean, because I do, like, with the one-to-one coaching, it's fine. Like, I have systems set up for that. But yeah, when I go and do financial wellbeing talks and workshops, and yes, it's interesting. Like, some places are really well set up for working with other businesses, and other places are not. And sometimes it is like, and you'll know this, Emma, like the larger corporate places that just aren't set up for dealing with today's like band of micro business and freelancers and small business owners. Like, they're just not set up for it. Their systems are pretty inflexible a lot of the time.
It's also incredible how often their finance department are apparently all on holiday at the same time.
And I'm like, how are your employees getting paid? Because I know I need to pay my bills this month, next month, and all the months after that as well, just like you do.
Yeah.
So
This is why
yeah.
I'm a big fan of payment upfront or part payment
Yes.
upfront, because especially
Yeah,
the
and
big ones.
I like spreading the word, isn't it? Like letting people know, letting other business owners know, like, you can, like, this is, if you decide that you want payment upfront or part payment upfront, that's a perfectly normal and feasible thing to ask for. It might mean some people decide not to work with you, and that's okay, because then you can spend your time working with the people who are happy with those payment terms that you've put in place to make sure that you can stay in business.
And you can also use things like Go Cardless. Is it Go Cardless now, where you can set up like a direct debit essentially?
I've heard of that from you. And actually, when I used to be a few years ago, I was a brownie leader, which I loved, because I loved being a brownie when I was a kid. So brownie guides. But yeah, we used Go Cardless for parents and guardians to pay brownie guide subscriptions. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, community groups are like automating and doing all of that digital payment stuff, and they used Go Cardless. So, gone are the days of the late 80s, early 90s, where, you know, your parents would hand over £3 for your subs like every week when they booked brownies.
Or worse, pay by check.
By check. Do you still have a checkbook?
I don't have a checkbook. I got paid by a client by check this year.
Whoa.
It's not something I normally accept, but there was a situation we had to. It is, I would highly recommend nobody gets paid by check, because not only is it a pain that you have to go into town and put that check in, and there's so few banks now that let you do it. I'm with Monzo, therefore we don't have banks. So I had the option of either paying it in by posting it.
Because a lot of the high street banks will let you take a picture now, which is pretty savvy, isn't it? Like take a
Yes,
picture
unfortunately, the other
using
I
the
was
app
going to
or
use was
something.
Nationwide. But they
Ah,
also, you could put it in and then discover a week later that that check wasn't working or it
gonna
bounced or
bounce.
anything. Oh, it's just not worth the effort.
Yeah, I can't say I've been paid by check, thankfully. So that has not happened to me. So yeah.
One of the other questions I was going to ask you, and I think we've already covered it a little bit, was what are some of the most common money mistakes that people make? So I was wondering if you, I think we've covered a few, but are there any you'd like to add to the list?
Well, I'm mistakes. I don't know if I'm like, oh, is it a money mistake? I think, oh, it sounds a bit, I don't know, judgmental, I think. So I don't think there are many mistakes. I tell you one thing that people do, which is just interesting and funny and fascinating. Like, so I think the stat, I don't think anyone's updated it since it was done a few years ago, but more people get divorced than change bank accounts. So more people in the UK will go through a divorce than change the bank account. So listen, that same bank that you signed up with when you were, so like I said, I'm in my early 40s now. So I signed up with my first bank, probably that was Midland Bank as it was then, now HSBC, in sixth form college in the mid 90s. And then I was with them until the 2016, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Listen, what is that? 96, 06, 20 years. 20 years. People stay with, and so it's like, well, okay, is that bank that served you when you were looking for fresher deals when you're at sixth form college, like student rail card and stuff? Is that same bank the bank that's going to be the right bank for you as you go to uni, as you leave uni, as you join the workplace, as you maybe, start work, maybe meet a partner, settle down, have children, buy a house, etc., etc., all things that people, can do in that time span. It's like, is that bank going to be the same right bank for you? Like start a business as well. Is that bank going to be the same right bank for you? Probably not. Guys, let's shop around here. We do not need to be so loyal to our bank accounts that we are loyal to them longer than we are the actual people that we're choosing to settle down with in our lives. Like, that's hilarious. I always find that one quite funny.
And the new banks, and I think we're going to see, because I think actually someone in the membership mentioned this morning that Nationwide are revamping as well.
Yeah, they've rebranded. Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast, that rebranding. But Monzo, Starling, Metal, I think there was another one as well. Is there, do you know what the other one? There's this kind of new
Monzo,
wave of
Starling, Metal,
digital
all the
banks.
challenger banks, the digital banks. Yeah, I use Monzo. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Monzo. And when you were saying earlier about the saving as well, if you are using Monzo, turn on the round up your payments into your savings, because that is incredible how quickly that stacks up. So you haven't seen it before. Say you spend 80p, the extra 20p goes into your savings pot. But that
Yeah.
could really, really stack up over every single purchase you make.
Yeah, you're just
So
automating your savings then, aren't you? You're setting it and you're forgetting it.
yeah.
But that's a really interesting one, Emma, actually, because that clearly really works for you and it works for a lot of people I know. So, but that doesn't work for me. I've tried that feature, not with Monzo, but with another provider. And it didn't work for me because there was a bit of a lag. This was a couple of years ago. There was a bit of a lag in you making the spend and then taking it from your account. So I was always just like, why is this random account? Like, why is this random amount now going from my account to my savings pot? I didn't like it. It didn't work for like my brain and my logic and how I understand things. So that feature didn't work for me, but it clearly works for you and many others. So I think, again, it's not a mistake, is it? It's a learning, like, oh, okay, how can I want to save more. Okay, is there something that can help me do that? And yeah, there's tech and there's apps that can help you do that. There's like a good old fashioned piggy bank that can help you do that. Like, guys, just find the solution that works for you.
That is so, because there isn't one budget that works for everyone. And I tried to do, what is it called? Do you need a budget? I tried to do that. Didn't work for me because it was too rigid, and I'm not rigid. My ADHD brain needs the flexibility, and if you try and put me in anything rigid, I will rebel. Whereas that you will have other people who really need that rigid one. So it's such
and
a great
who flourish with it.
Yeah. People won't have a session with you and be like, this is the only way to do it. You're very much like, right, let's find a way to do it for you.
Yeah. And I will help my clients, where they need to, like, okay, so what is your goal here? You want to save more. Okay, let's look at the options, and I will help you I'll get my clients to like run through all the options available to them, because I think that's something that we just don't do often enough as well. We're either like, I can do that or I can't do that, and it's like, but what are your options for action on this? What are your options? You don't have to commit to it yet. You just have to kind of do a brain dump, like, no matter how out there it is, and just giving people the space to go, oh yeah, actually then I suppose I could do that, and what about that option, etc., etc. So yeah, like, one of the key things is savings. It's the basics. It's the savings, it's the budgeting. It's like, you're not bad at these things. It helps to figure out how to do it in a way that works for you. Some people like a spreadsheet, some people like a budgeting app, some people like good old pen and paper. Like, what's the way that works for you, that gives you that clarity and insight on what money you've got coming in and what money you've got going out. Like, that's it. Like, that's what we're trying to get to here. So there's no one perfect way.
Oh, okay, there's so many gems in this. So I hope everyone has taken away something really helpful. More importantly, Talia, where can we find you online? And tell us a bit more about where's your website, which social networks are you on, that kind of thing.
Yes, so you can find me online. I've recently updated the website that launched my business in 2019. So it is now lovely and jazzy and new and updated, and I'm really proud of it. So it's talialoderick.co.uk. So Talia, Talia, Loderick, Loderick. Hopefully that comes across clear enough to you all. talialoderick.co.uk, that's the name of my website. And then you will find me on socials on Instagram and LinkedIn at Talia Loderick. That's my handle. So those are the platforms that I like to hang out on. Connect with me on socials and have a look at my website.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think we probably were both joined in urging people to, if there's a difficult money conversation that you need to have, use this week as a good excuse to do that, because that's exactly what it's there for.
Yeah, just like take the first step, I think. And that saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. Like, whether you're an employee, actually some workplaces are doing a great job now in supporting employee well-being. So maybe there's someone at work you can speak to. Maybe there's just someone in your friendship or acquaintance circle that you feel like you could open up to. There are amazing debt advice charities in the UK as well, like Citizens Advice and National Debtline and Step Change. So just take that first step, I think, in and trying to find someone to speak to, whether they're personal to you or they're an organisation.
Thank you so much for coming on, Talia, and everybody have a wonderful week talking about money.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Freelancers Tea Break. I hope you found it useful. If you want to connect with other freelancers, do come join us in the Facebook group, the Freelance Lifestylers. It's completely free and really lovely and supportive. You can also find out more information on freelancing at freelancelifestyle.co.uk. And as always, I'd really appreciate it if you were able to take a moment to leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice.